one of the wonderful benefits, blessings of reading history, but also reading literature, historical literature, is that it enables us to see the present in the light of the past, to understand the present more deeply because we see parallels, sometimes in very different contexts or circumstances in the past. I want to talk for a little bit about Shakespeare's Richard II, one of his great history plays. And my topic is Richard II and the Republican Party. Now, I'm going to outline very briefly the plot of Richard II, and I think you will begin to see the parallels even as I do that. So this play is about a great struggle between a legitimate king, Richard II, and a usurper, someone who wants to take his throne, one of the nobles, a guy named Bolingbroke, who ultimately is successful in overthrowing Richard II and becoming himself Henry IV. And then there are further plays by Shakespeare about Henry IV, part 1, part 2, and then, of course, Henry V, which is the son of Henry IV. So the usurpation continues to the next generation. Now, the main focus of the plot is on Richard's sense that he is God's man for the job, the naturally ordained king, the divine right of kings. And Richard is constantly appealing to his divine right. And Bolingbroke, the usurper, is a kind of Machiavellian. He's cunning, he's a plotter, he's devious. He will appeal to divine right himself once he becomes king. But he's willing to use any strategy, any device that he can to gain power for himself. And once he has the power, he will then claim that it is sanctified by God. In other words, he doesn't think that divine power will come to his rescue. Richard does. Richard is constantly saying things like, I'm calling upon armies of angels to deliver their swords against my tormentors. Richard is a talker. He's a poet. And he's a very eloquent poet. He is a man of words. He's constantly talking about the injustices that are being done to him. And he speaks in a kind of beautiful poetry. Here's a single line that kind of captures the rhetorical flourish of this eloquent king. Not all the water in the rough, rude sea can wash the balm from an anointed king. What's he saying? Yeah, the sea is rough, and I love that phrase, the sea is rude, because it doesn't respect human boundaries. But yet, for all its power, all the water in the ocean can't wash away the simple fact that I am God's man on the throne. I have divine right, and no human thing can wash that away. Now, this is very different, of course, from Bolingbroke's view, the usurper's view, which is that, yes, if I can get a coalition of the nobles, if I can actually appeal to some grievances, but the cunning move of Bolingbroke is to take these grievances and then use them as a wedge to overthrow Richard. In other words, not just to get a redress for the grievances. Hey, listen, I want to have my confiscated land back. No, the idea is give me my confiscated land back and also give me your throne. So, as we summarize Richard versus Bolingbroke, I'd have to say this. Richard is a talker. Bolingbroke is a doer. Richard is decent but stupid. Bolingbroke is evil but cunning. Richard appeals to providence. Bolingbroke appeals to ruthless organization. Richard, whenever he makes an advance or wins a victory, he immediately relaxes because he thinks, oh, I've done it. Bolingbroke never rests. He's indefatigable. He's constantly at it. Politics is a full-time business for him. Richard has scruples. He won't do this. He won't do that. This is unseemly for a king. Bolingbroke is unscrupulous. He will stop at nothing. And finally, Richard plays by, well, this is a modern term, but the Marquis of Queensberry rules. It would be wrong to do that. That's against the rules. I mean, I'm thinking here of, people like Romney. That's against the rules. The Marquis of Queensberry would not do it that way. Bolingbroke is full-on Machiavelli. There are no rules. Or to put it differently, you get to make the rules and you devise the rules in such a way that your opponents are discouraged and constantly disadvantaged. The throne remains yours in, you may say, perpetuity. So don't you see here in laying out these rival characters, the psychological characteristics of the two major parties? Here's the Republican Party. It's almost a definition of Richard. Decent but stupid. A party of talkers. Oh, we've been wronged in this way. Look at the double standards over there. Appeals to inaction. Let's just wait. Things will work out. Relax after a victory. Won the election. There's nothing more to do till the next election. Then we can kind of get whipped up into a frenzy again. Scruples. You know what? Yes, the other side did that. They used the deep state against us, but we can't use the deep state against them. They're packing the court, but we'd never dream of packing the court. And so ultimately what happens is that the decent side ties its own hands, while the bad guy has the freedom to roam uninhibited. And then at the end, guess who ends up with the throne?